Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. What a fantastic program we have lined up from you. We're live from the PRN Studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. And folks, this is one of the coolest, craziest, biggest car shows of the year, with thousands of classic and exotic cars, 50 car clubs, and nearly 100,000 enthusiasts. You got to check it out at Bobby Likis on Facebook, Twitter, and now on Instagram. This Car Clinic Global Cast is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is also brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you need new brakes, find the brake parts you need at O'Reilly Auto Parts. They have brands that you trust, like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermal Quiet at guaranteed low prices. And here's the best part. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Coming up, stay tuned. We're going to have Mike Balcom from Nationwide, who is a car guy that you're going to love. I've seen his car. It's a 56 Chevrolet station wagon. Absolutely beautiful. It's online. And also Lenny Batiki, who is the host here at PRN at the track. And I had a conversation with Lenny yesterday, and I think you're going to find this gentleman very interesting. All you have to do is ride along with us for this hour, and we'll come to you from Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Charlotte Motor Speedway 2014 Auto Fair. I'm Bobby Likis, 888 Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis with today's CRC Engine Care Spotlight. Advances in engine and vehicle technology continually reduce the toxicity of engine exhaust, but your vehicle still needs to pass a yearly emissions test to meet EPA standards. And if you have an older vehicle, that can make you a nervous wreck. Solution? CRC's Guaranteed to Pass. CRC developed Guaranteed to Pass specifically for cleaning out the harmful gums and varnish from the fuel system and emission control components that can cause your engine to fail emissions testing. But Guaranteed to Pass benefits go far beyond, as you enjoy easier starts, faster acceleration, and better airflow. Worried that your car won't pass the test? You've got nothing to lose. Like the name says, CRC guarantees Guaranteed to Pass. So if your vehicle fails its emission test, you'll get double your money back. Find more automotive maintenance solutions at crcindustries.com or find them on Facebook at CRC Auto.
O'Reilly.
Not an O'Reilly O-Rewards member yet? Now you can sign up online at orewards.com. Enroll today and start earning $5 back on every $150 you spend. Visit orewards.com and become an O'Reilly O-Rewards member today. It's fast, easy, and free. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
How can you improve battery performance? Make sure your next battery has Power Frame Grid technology, a more advanced kind of positive grid technology that's designed to combat the common causes of premature battery failure. Power Frame Grid technology is formed from a single sheet of precisely rolled and stamped metal. This patented manufacturing process makes the battery more resistant to corrosion. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside of your next battery. It means true strength on the inside. Visit powerframe.com to find a retailer near you.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Where are you going?
To kill the weeds.
Whoa, don't kill the grass too, like you did last time.
Hey, wise men make mistakes. They just don't make them twice.
What's different this time?
This time, I've got Ortho Weed Begone Max. It kills weeds down to the root, but unlike other products, it doesn't kill the grass.
Ooh, so impressive.
Well, I've done it the wrong way, so I figured I might as well try it the right way.
I'm all for that.
Kill the weeds, not the grass. Get Ortho Weed Begone Max and defend what's yours.
It straddles the line between timeless classic and modern luxury.
The grape tomato.
The ruby red in a sea of greens. The muse behind the great chef, Boyardee.
Beefaroni, mi amore.
Oh, tomato. Are you fruit? Are you vegetable?
What is identity?
Groceries, essentials, signature value.
The Everyday Collection by Target.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, folks, let's get started with today's broadcast. As I mentioned at the open, we're live from the PRN Studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. You can't believe this. I'm going to share information with you today, and here's how this is going to work. We will take calls specific to the Auto Fair, or if you have questions about the Auto Fair or the Charlotte event today, but we're going to bring to you some special guests. We have Mike Balcom with us, who is a 21-year nationwide agent. He lives literally, born and resides 30 miles from the Speedway, and owns 2 nationwide offices in Monroe and Mathis County here in North Carolina. He also owns a commercial real estate company. You're going to be interested in what he has to share, because not only does he have a few cars, but he's right in the middle of changing the very ones that he has. So you'll stay tuned. We're going to hear from him coming up next. And Lenny Bataki is the host. This gentleman will just absolutely, I don't know if I should give him the mic or not, because when I turn the mic to him, that it's going to be lights out. I want to remind you that this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by CRC Industries, makers of Brake Clean, the original aerosol brake parts cleaner, and still the #1 choice of pros and do-it-yourselfers. And also, I want to thank our partner sponsor, Stant Corporation, makers of the Super Stat. Reach for the thermostat professional installers prefer. Learn more about the Super Stat and Stant's entire collection of aftermarket caps and thermostats at stant.com. And with that, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. First, Mike, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, thank you so much for having me here today. Nationwide Haggerty, we are excited about the opportunity. We absolutely love the auto fair. We are collector car people, and what a beautiful day we have here at the Speedway for this.
There's no question about it. The weather gods have shown and are continuing to shine down on you. And Lenny Batiki, you are an icon and just a gentleman. I enjoyed working with you yesterday, and you shared the big screen. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Tell the folks about the Motor Speedway and the big screen.
Well, Bobby, welcome to you and the show here to Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I'm just the guy that is lucky enough to be on 16,000 square foot of awesome, our big screen TV here at the Speedway during a lot of our events. But we have hundreds of people that make everything happen, and I just get to be the voice for them on a number of different events. Auto Fair, a 4-day festival of hot rods, collector cars, a swap meet, and everything in between for the automotive enthusiast. It is the automotive extravaganza, and we have another one coming up in the spring that is always just a blowout event. But this year, we go the rest of today and tomorrow, so anybody within, driving distance, it's going to be 2 beautiful days this weekend, and we certainly hope that they come out and experience what we do. And I've got to tell you this, you're not only in the PRN studios, you are in the O'Reilly Pit Reporters studios, because we do love those O'Reilly Auto Parts folks from out there in Springfield, Missouri. And I got to thank the folks from CRC, not for just what they do to keep your show on the air, but all the way back, NASCAR fans listening in. Remember, CRC was the sponsor that launched Richard Childress onto the national spotlight when he was a driver, and we know he ended up with a pretty good driver himself back in the day, Dale Earnhardt. So CRC, roots at our racetrack, and of course O'Reilly right where you're sitting on Mondays. Brett McMillan and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Pit Reporters are here at the PRN Studios.
It's a small world, and to that end, a little later in the program, we're going to have Dr. Andrew Randolph, who is the engine director for Earnhardt Childress Racing. And he's a brainiac, and he's the most down-to-earth PhD I've ever met. But a little more about Andy a little later in the program. So, folks, you'll want to stay tuned today, because it's going to be an exciting program, and it already is. Mike, I know that you're a car guy, and I also know that you're in the insurance business. So let's connect the dots. And also, I'd like for you to just give a brief overview of how and why Haggerty Insurance, Classic Insurance, has partnered with, and why Nationwide is partnered with Haggerty.
Well, thank you, Bobby. The reason really that Nationwide looked at it was we had what was called a stated value policy for our classic car customers, which is typical with most of your what I call normal non-classic insurance carriers. And Nationwide said, we need to do better for our members. We need to give them a guaranteed value on their vehicle versus a stated value. A stated value simply is a $20,000 Camaro is destroyed in a fire. They may get 20, or they may get up to 20,000. So we said this is not good enough. We went to Haggerty. Hagerty loves our partnership, and it is an alliance between the two. Now we offer guaranteed value for these vehicles so that if your car is destroyed and we have it valued at $20,000, $20,000 is what you get, no questions asked. Two major carriers. Hagerty's the global leader of antique car insurance in the world. Nationwide is a Fortune 100 enterprise, and I think its name and brand speaks for itself.
Well, I think that's true for both insurance companies. But I have a question. Let's say that I have an automobile that I'm working on. In fact, I've restored a Porsche, a 1980 model, for some 9 years. And I'm in the throes of, you never finish those cars, but let's just say that I've got one in the garage at home. Is that covered, and is that part of the new partnership overview?
Well, it would not be covered under your homeowner's insurance. Vehicles, personal automobile collector, or normal daily drivers must be insured on their own. And that is one of the greatest things, Bobby, thanks for bringing that up, that Hagerty Nationwide does, is we will insure your collector car while it's under construction, which is key. The car could be sitting there with the interior gutted, engine over in one corner, drivetrain in another, and we'll insure it as is at your value, and we'll escalate the value based on your advice as the car gets closer toward completion. That is one of Hagerty's shining spots, is the fact that they will do a car under construction.
I think it's very forward-thinking, which is the way I love technology, and I think it's very forward-thinking for the decision makers at Nationwide and at Hagerty Classic to have even considered joining hands. And I think the partnership certainly brings to your customers and your clients not only increased services, but coverage that they didn't have before. Let's shift gears. I know you have one 56 Chevrolet, and this is a car that we actually posted online. It's turquoise, and I know there are two different types of turquoise, but folks, if you can just picture this, it's turquoise and white station wagon, and it's drop dead gorgeous and just shines by itself. How long have you had that car? And I understand you have plans to change a perfectly good automobile?
Well, Bobby, that's what car guys do. They it's almost like an interior decorator buying a home. You've got to change colors and change the carpet and so forth. This Bel Air I bought last March, not long ago, at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at the Run to the Sun. It is a 56 four-door Bel Air wagon. It is dark turquoise and white. It is a gorgeous car, I think. I know I'm a little biased, but it's a beautiful car. But as many car guys are doing now, they're modernizing the drivetrain for reliability, smoothness. I want to take an extended road trip. We're going to take the 56 engine transmission out of the car next week.
Air conditioning?
Yes.
Air conditioning too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. On hot days, the air conditioner feels pretty good. But I have a disease that many of my friends talk about, and it's just you buy an old car, you can't leave it alone. You got to kind of do something to it to make it yours. That's what I'm doing with the wagon.
Well, it is a beautiful car, and I want to hear a little more about that, time permitting. But I want to switch gears here and turn the mic back over to Lenny. Lenny, Doc Dogs, really? Folks, I don't know if you know what Doc Dogs are. I did not until I came to the auto fair. And you tell us about the Doc Dogs.
The Doc Dogs are one of the featured events for the families. We offer kids 13 and under get in free to Auto Fair, and we invite the entire family. Well, not every kid has gotten the bite of the car lover disease, as Mike had said. So we want to keep them here so that mom and dad can enjoy these vehicles. And this is one of the ways that we're able to keep them connected. We have a big play zone where kids can come and bounce houses, and all of this is provided free. But Doc Dogs gave us another opportunity to entertain those that enjoyed cars, maybe enjoyed being with a car lover, but wanted something different. And all of us love dogs. Doc Dogs are the dogs that will actually launch off of a dock. They'll run down the dock, get into the air, jump into the water, and retrieve items. And it's an actual contest. They can go to Doc Dogs online, just Google it, and they'll be able to see the competition that's happening here. We also have Terracross, which is an extreme sport that is making its auto fair debut this weekend. We've got a 5-mile dirt oval, and what we've done is in the inside of it made basically a motocross track for these side-by-side type Polaris vehicles, and the folks have enjoyed that as well. Auto Fair is a real experience for the auto lovers and the families that come out twice a year here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for this big event.
how can our listeners connect to Lenny Baticki?
They can, really, I'm glad to be a part of the big organization at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have the show PRN's at the Track. They can follow on Facebook and Twitter. But really, Charlotte Motor Speedway is the place that folks need to come and connect with all of the car lovers that are here. We're not just race people. We love the racing, but we love automotive experience, whether it's drag racing, dirt track, the big NASCAR races, and, of course, Auto Fair. We love it like they love it, and we invite folks to come and follow Charlotte Motor Speedway on Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, always bookmark Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've got so many cool things going on all the way through the holidays.
Thanks for joining us, Lenny Baticki, and also Mike Balcom from Nationwide. Mike, thank you so much, and congratulations on your hot rods.
Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. It's been a great fun being here. Good luck to you going forward and all the listeners.
Whether you're a DIYer or a brake professional, be sure your brake job is complete by replacing all the brake hardware with Carlson Quality Brake Hardware. Why? A brake job is more than simply replacing shoes and pads. Fact is, when you also replace springs, clips, and other hardware parts that hold all brake components in place, your brakes will perform better and last longer. It's a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. Invest in the best. Invest in Carlson Quality Brake Hardware kits with every brake job.
O'Reilly.
Eventually, it's going to happen. You'll turn the key and your engine won't start. Don't lose your ability to get around. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a Super Start battery. Whether it's a reliable economy, hardworking premium, or powerful extreme, you'll find it at an everyday low price. Don't let a dead battery slow you down. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Bobby Likis with today's Fact or Friction, brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance lubricants that outperform. Fact or Friction. Additive packages are key in synthetic oil quality. Fact. Of a quart of synthetic oil, 15 to 25% is its total additive package, including anti-wear agents, detergents, dispersants, and antioxidants. An oil's additive package does the heavy lifting, and ultimately its lubrication factor, friction and heat reduction, and ability to rev up performance are measures of an additive package's quality. Royal Purple's proprietary Cinelec technology was developed over years of rigorous testing and real-world use. Fact is, Royal Purple solved a vibration problem with the China Star 125-mile-per-hour bullet train. When choosing oil for your vehicle, consider Royal Purple high-performance motor oil. Visit RoyalPurple.com for all the Royal Purple advantages, then pick up Royal Purple today at Pep Boys.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Tom Bodette talking to you on a cell phone to demonstrate how easy it is to make reservations in Motel 6 when you're on the road. I'm just about to head into a tunnel. Anyway, just call 1-800-4-MOTEL-6. Clean, comfortable room. Lowest price of any national chain. Sorry, this stupid phone's cutting out me. Man, I hate these things. Call you back. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you. And a Core Hotel.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, brought to you by Geico Auto Insurance.
I love you, Romeo.
I love you, Juliet.
Too bad our families hate each other.
Yeah.
How is Geico able to guarantee my claim repairs and still save me money?
Don't know.
I love you anyway.
All right, then.
We can guarantee claim repairs for as long as you own your car, and you could save 15% on car insurance. Call Geico at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back. We're live from the PRN Studios at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. It's one of the coolest, craziest, biggest car shows of the year with, as I said earlier, thousands of classic and exotic cars and 50 car clubs. We're going to have a gentleman with us a little later in the program and talk about exotic cars. Of the nearly 100,000 folks, I can tell you, I think that they're all here this morning. It's unbelievably busy outside, and we're inside the PRN Studios. You can check us out at Bobby Likis on Facebook, Twitter, and now on Instagram. And this Car Clinic Global Cast is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. You heard from Mike Balcom about the partnership. What a great opportunity for you to check it out. And if you're building a car, even if you have it in your garage and it's not yet running, you can get that car covered through Nationwide and the Haggerty partnership. What a terrific opportunity for you. And rather than a stated value, you can talk about the value, and you can then make sure that your property is valued where you'd like it to be. I want to introduce a gentleman now that Walt Hollifield. You're going to love this man. He restored Elvis's 1973 Stutz Blackhawk. We're going to talk about the GTO era. I want to welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic from the PRN Studios in Charlotte, Walt Hollifield. Walt, welcome.
Well, good morning and thanks.
You know, you are an icon. I had no idea. Let's kick it off. Talk about GTOs and classic cars, and just give us the 30,000-foot overview of that era of the muscle car.
Well, the muscle car was created by John DeLorean, as we all come to know and love. And the 64 GTO kicked off the muscle car craze, where an average Joe could go out and afford to buy a high-performance car, which would be an intermediate with a large motor in it.
And you have a collection of cars. I won't ask you the number because I know you don't give the number, but you have a large collection, of which is the first 64 GTO ever?
We do, yes. Yes, it's Hearst Gold with the black painted top, and it was delivered by Pete Estes, the president of Pontiac Motor Division at the time, to a gentleman in South Carolina, and we recovered the car from him.
Well, tell me about, let's talk about the horsepower of, say, the 64 GTO, and then quickly up through to the Judge. And,
sure.
You know, and then also your background with regard to engines and what have you. I mean, how were you when you had your first car?
Well, when I had my first car, I was like 12 years old.
And when did you first drive?
A 55 Chevy.
And how old were you when you first drove, and what was that?
I was like 9 years old when I first drove, because I was raised around the country, and we had to learn how to drive real quick in order to survive. But not drive fast, but learn how to drive quick.
I didn't know there was a difference. So you had your car since you were 12, 55 Chevrolet. How long did you keep it before you started to modify it, to tinker with it?
Really started on it immediately. We were doing things to it. Even when I was 12 years old, we were doing things to it. We were doing cams and boring it out. You know, it had a 265 in it. We got a 283 and put it in it, and then we took a 283 out. And when the 300-horse 327s came out in '62, we put one of those in it. And so we were always constantly building it better and better and better. And we still have that car to this day.
I was going to ask you if you still had it, and I was going to ask you, did you ever finish the car?
Well, we did, and we over the years, we've decided to start looking at some new engine combinations, and we're going to be rebuilding it again. So
the answer to that is, you know, do car guys ever really reach the end, or do they sell and go again?
They really never reach the end. They might finish a project, but they never reach the end of the hobby. They just don't. I mean, it just keeps consuming them, you know.
And I understand that your grandson, you feel your grandson's going to be in the car.
I think my grandson's going to pick up the banner and start going with it, because he's only 10 years old, and he's already interested in Jeeps, and he's already started working on one. We got him one, and he's playing with it right now.
We're talking with Walt Hollifield. Let's talk about moonshine.
Well, moonshine, as you know, is it was actually the backbone of the economy during the Depression, and it was something that's always been done around where I was raised. And moonshine is definitely, like I say, it's part of the fabric that we grew up with. You know, it's in our heritage, and that's where a lot of fast cars took the streets. And they didn't take the streets to get there quick with the moonshine. They made them fast so they could outrun the law.
At that time, that's before radios, before satellite GP, many years ago. And in that era, individuals would buy small cars and put big motors
in them, right? And seriously, there's a conversation with John DeLorean that was recorded where he said these shade tree mechanics were taking big motors and putting them in small cars all this time, and we were at General Motors, and we were taking big motors trying to put them in big cars, make big cars go faster. And he said, and so part of that GTO that was made with that in mind, that these guys were out there trying to cram these motors in the cars, and he figured that he would do it at the factory, and that's where the GTO was born. And, it started with horsepower 348, got up to 360, 366, 370, and the car that we have on display out here today has 565 horsepower. It's a Ram Air 5.
Wow.
And so he still had that in his engineering scheme of things, is to build the biggest, just keep putting bigger and bigger and more. And not only GM did it, but Chrysler did it. So did Ford. But he wanted to be at the top of the line. He wanted to be at the top of the pinnacle, and he made this 565 horsepower mule car, which we have on display out here today.
How large is your garage?
It's pretty good size. We kept dragging them in. We had to put them undercover. So we've got about between the two garages, we have over 20,000 square feet.
Over 20,000 square feet. Another question. Where do you see the car collector, the hobby, just an overview? It's so popular, and it appears to be growing. What about the younger generation, and what's connecting the dots with the younger generation with today's cars?
Well, the younger generation today is treated the same way I was treated when I was the younger generation in the 60s. And if we treat them the same way, they'll pick up the baton and they'll keep going with it. Because, if you take the street tuners, the super tuners, the import guys, they are all known, and they have that Class N IHRA. If we keep looking at these guys, they're doing the motor skills as we were doing them. I was taking a 283 and making it bigger and faster, and I think you and I were talking before. I grew up where a guy felt like his 390 Ford putwood truck would pull, South Carolina across Georgia, and it would outrun anything that had a 283 in it, but they could never figure out that we were working off of gear ratios and horsepower to weight, and it's just things that grow, and these guys are becoming phenomenal about making the shade tree a digital industry, and taking it out and just turning phenomenal times with these import cars and the domestic produced cars too.
Walt Hollifield, who is the GTO expert, and I know from personal conversations, an auto enthusiast since he was, I think you were probably born with a steering wheel there close by. Let's talk about and share with our Car Clinic listeners the GOAT story.
The GOAT story is that name on the GTO technically came about at the drag strips, because the joke is the Chrysler guys couldn't spell GOAT. They couldn't spell GTO, but they could spell GOAT. The GTO, so all of a sudden they started calling them GOAT, and a lot of it was all in good banner, and they were also calling some of the Plymouth and Dodges were called GOATs too, but they started calling the GTO GOAT because it started with a G. And that had a lot to do with it. And the other thing is, the GTO was called a Tiger car. It was ran the Tiger paw when it first came out, the Uniroyal, and they started calling it the Tiger car. And Pontiac Motor Division with Milt Shornack, they raced the Tiger, and you could go out and race the Tiger. And then they started talking about it being a GOAT instead of a Tiger, because it had to be a little demeaning. You go through the Ford Fixer Repair Daily, the Mopar Move Over, People Are Racing.
I thought Ford was first on race day. I didn't know it was Fixer Repair Day.
Well, you talk about the Mopar, the best I'd ever heard was Move Over, People Are Racing, because, I'm a GM man, but they'd look at me and they'd say gas, tires, and oil, or get the tools out.
One more quick story, and because coming up, folks, we have Jeff Spiegel, and he's here to talk and share with us information about the exotic cars. So if you're a Lamborghini interest lies that way, you'll want to stay tuned. But Walt, the bottom line, speaking of exotic cars, and I think the classic cars are the opposite of those automobiles. But just share with us, you share with us the young audience. You drove and tested and road tested a GTO against the new GTO for General Motors.
That's correct.
And just in a short period of time, which car was fastest, the old GTO or the one that GM said was the fastest GTO ever delivered?
The old GTO.
And by what difference?
Well, it was a full second and a half, not a full second and a quarter, but a full second and a half faster than what they brought in with the 2004 GTO. We ran a 1356 with the Ram Air 4, which was respectable, and they ran a 1496 or 1494.
So I presume that they were surprised, that the corporate was surprised.
They really were, because we've got to hear all the things about abuse management system built inside the computer, that that the timing would advance when you held the accelerator at the same time you held the gas pedal.
Right.
That, they had to cold launch it. They couldn't have mashed the brake to launch it, but we had a lot of fun with it, and we actually wound up taking the new GTO and comparing it with the new Ford Cobra at the time in 2004.
Really?
And they were both very, very close. One was once we got them all running and dialed in, and the air pressure set and everything good on them, we had 1411 on the GTO and 1414 on the Ford. Which again, that's buying the car. That's very respectable.
Very much. Walt Hollifield, all over, all under, not only GTO, but just for the classic car segment and for the automotive enthusiast. And the lesson that I learned from being around you, sir, yesterday was that indeed the Charlotte Auto Fair is the history of transportation and the interest and the passion of the auto enthusiast and how it affects our future. I want to thank you for joining Bobby Likis Car Clinic right here in the PRN Studios. Continue to do what you do, sir.
Well, and thank you for your input in the world.
Thank you. Stay tuned, folks. Back with John Speaker.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Today's fact is about the difference between cellulosic ethanol and advanced ethanol. Cellulose refers to the material comprising the cell walls of any green plant and is the most common organic compound found on Earth. Cellulosic ethanol is produced by turning the sugars in cellulose into alcohol fuel. Advanced ethanol, by comparison, is sourced from non-cellulosic feedstocks, including sugars and starches other than cornstarch. Upon EPA approval, advanced ethanol production from grain sorghum will give the nation another option as it aims to meet the federal goal of producing 36 billion gallons of renewable fuels per year by 2022. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm your blind spot. And my job is easy. Hide big things.
You're good.
And if you named your own price on car insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem. Like me.
Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate agents.
P-Racey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
If you're familiar with the Kulsiford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulsiford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're live from the PRN Studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 2014 Charlotte Auto Fair. What a great show. And if you enjoyed to date so far the guests that we've had on, the gentleman with us that I've officially named John is Jeff Spiegel with RK Motors. And that's the high-end consignment house, Mercedes-Benz. There's one of the vehicles that I looked at in the Nationwide Pavilion yesterday. And by the way, this car clinic, Global Crest, is brought to you in part by Nationwide Insurance and Haggerty Insurance. Jeff's going to share with us information about exotics. And, you know, I felt that we were at a classic car show. When you get here, you've got thousands of cars, thousands of people, and thousands of vendors, and all makes, years, and models, anything that you want to see. So I want to, at this time, officially welcome Jeff, not John Spiegel. Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Let's talk about specifically, how many cars did you bring to the show?
We brought 2 cars to the show.
Just the 2?
Just the 2 Mercedes, yes.
Unbelievable. Tell us about the 1000, which I'm so enamored with. I looked at that automobile, and folks, the more you look at that car, the more it resembles a slot racer on steroids, a cockpit of an airplane.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm from Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, is our home base, the Car Clinic Studios. So you know, everywhere you see there are F-14s and the like. But give us an overview of that car first, and just an overview of your company as well.
Sure. I'll start with the car. The C1000 was built in 1995, and it was actually commissioned by a wealthy Middle Eastern businessman who wanted to build the fastest car in the world. And in 1995, he went to Mercedes-Benz and told them what the concept was and what he was trying to figure out. Mercedes at the time probably couldn't do it on their own, so they went to this company called Lotec, and Mercedes and Lotec worked together. That's where the name came from, is a German company called Lotec. And they set out to create this 200-plus mile-an-hour supercar, and it took about 3+ years to build it, about $3.5 million. And it wound up being the fastest car in the world at 268 miles per hour.
Is it still the fastest car, or the Veyron?
Yeah, I think the Veyron was the one that kind of knocked it down a little bit off its podium. But you look at 1995 and that kind of speed, that's pretty impressive for the time. And today it would be impressive as well. But we've had the consignment in our facility now since our auction of last November. So it's a great car. It's not owned by us. It's one of our consignment cars. The CLK GTR, though, is owned by Rob Coffin, our chairman. And that again is a rare car. The Lotec, by the way, is one of one in the world. It was hand built.
Oh, really?
It was hand built and assembled, and there'll never be a car like that again.
How many miles on the car are there typically?
Don't know, because that engine's been torn apart and rebuilt and so forth. Before we got it for consignment, I think several $100,000 were put into the car to kind of bring it back up. But I know at one point the engine was dismantled and has been completely rebuilt. So don't have any clue what the mileage, the true mileage is.
Give us a 30,000-foot view of RK Motors.
Sure. RK Motors, we were founded in 2010, and RK is kind of a collaboration between Robert Kaufman and Joseph Carroll. And Joseph Carroll used to run Best of Show out of Ohio. And Rob's always had kind of a personal collection. His first car, actually, of his collection is his prized F40. He loves that car. And he always says, if I was to sell all my collection and that was the last car to go, then that would be it, because that's the one he would hold on to till the end. So those two gentlemen met, and they created the passion that Rob had was for cars. And Joe was already running something related to cars, doing restoration, and he also had a museum up in Ohio called the Mentor Museum of Speed. And the two of them joined forces to create RK Motors. And a platform was created at that point to take some of the best American classics and muscles that you can find in high-performance cars, put them all under one roof, and make them available for sale. Whereas before, nobody really in the space was doing anything on the high end. A lot of times you would just have to go to the auction to find these rare cars. But we have them now in our showroom.
Well, you talk about high end. Give us an example of the low of the high. And what's the spread between the low of the high?
In price-wise? Or,
yes.
We have cars that somewhere in the mid-40s, And then we can have cars that go well into the hundreds of thousands, also into the millions.
And so do you have a current, let's just say put a price on it, a $100,000 automobile. Do you have a current $100,000 automobile in-house?
Oh, absolutely. We've got several. Most of them tend to be more of the, I would say right now, what's very popular are the Shelby GTs, the 350s and the 500s. Those that are blue chip investment have been completely restored, numbers matching. It's probably due to a lot with the Mustang 50th. I mean, we've done a lot around the Mustang 50th, so we personally have created a lot of attention to it. But I think a lot of people are just yearning for Shelby right now for whatever reason. His name is iconic, and obviously the fastbacks that he created are legendary. They pretty much set the tone for what a pony car, muscle car, should be as far as size, nimbleness, power to rate ratio, those kind of things. So just phenomenal vehicles overall. And the Chevelles and the Camaros are always popular. But the ones that have been like Pro Toured or Resto mods, those are the ones that kind of fall into the $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 because they have just a lot of high performance parts in them. So they cost quite a bit.
We're talking with Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the Charlotte Motor Auto Fair. How did RK Motors get involved were you here last year? And
yeah, we've been. I guess we've been involved in the auto fair for quite a while. Obviously, we have a relationship with the Speedway because we're all car guys and car lovers.
You test your cars out here occasionally?
I would love to. Actually, yeah. But so I know that we've been at the auto fair. We've had booths here at the auto fair and things like that. And last year we also had a booth here for our auction. So we've got a good relationship with the Speedway. We think the auto fair is just a great venue in general for the pure hobbyists, the enthusiasts, the people that want to come and look at just phenomenal vehicles. And so we're always proud to be part of it. This year, though, is a little bit different for us because usually we're talking American muscles and classics, and now we're talking fast and foreign of the Mercedes. So we're glad to have those two cars here. And so we just couldn't resist when we started talking about the conversation about getting those cars over here.
And how have you been received, would you say, from all of the viewers and all the attendees here?
I would say so far, I mean, I've been poking my head in and out, kind of nonchalant, looking around and just kind of watching people. And there's a lot of people that gather around those two cars, and they're just trying to figure out, okay, what's the first one being the low-tech? What is that? And the second one being the Roadster, the CLK GTR, which is one of 6 in the world. I mean, so nobody's really ever seen these cars before. And that's why they're so enthralled by them, because they're just trying to figure out what they are. And that's the coolest part about it, is those cars being so rare, they attract a wide audience because nobody's ever seen it.
We're talking with Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, and we are live from the PRN Studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. If you have a question of Jeff, I'll take your call at 888 Car Clinic. And interestingly enough, I'm going to ask you about the engines, and I'd like to know what the engine is in the 1000. And how many horsepower? You mentioned 268. Is that what the speed was?
268 was the speed. It's a twin turbo, and it's 1,000 horsepower. Hence the C1000. It was one of the first cars to generate that kind of horsepower that was actually good for the track and also be able to be driven on the road.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And the CLK GTR is no slouch either. That's got a V10 in it, and that's putting close to about 700 horsepower out. That's a carbon fiber body, too, so that car is extremely light. Both cars probably well under 2,300 pounds. So you look at
1,000 horsepower, 2,300 pounds. So it doesn't take a lot of throttle to move the car.
No, the 0 to 60s are well in the 3s on both cars, so they're extremely quick.
That is truly amazing, and the car is beautiful. One of the things that I noticed on the vehicle with a carbon fiber body was that it had a seam on the front fender seam, but the seam was more purely for aesthetics. But it was beautifully laid out, and the bonnet, of course, folds forward.
Yes.
And I just was enamored by the car. And here you have on one side, as Walt shared with us, the GTO, the 64, the first official GTO that was sold and still owned by the people that bought it, brand new. And then folks directly across the inside the pavilion there, the Nationwide Pavilion, you've got your Mercedes vehicles. And I congratulate you on those automobiles. Would you give us a price on the 1000? What would that be?
Well, the 1000 is currently for sale, actually, and I think the price is just slightly under $800,000. The CLK GTR is valued at probably around $2 million. So definitely not cheap cars overall. But like I said, the CLK, the C1000 cost $3.5 million to build in 1995, and now it's slightly under $1 million for a price tag. But it is for sale. That is the car that is for sale. The CLK is not at this time.
Jeff Spiegel, what's your background? Were you always a car guy? Or
car guy at heart? Cars, motorcycles. I've always gone to shows. My dad was a big car guy, and we just traveled around and went to a lot of different car shows. And then I started working on cars and making my mistakes and ruining cars in the process and those kind of things. But I've always been a car guy. But marketing is what I've been doing most of my career. And when I got the opportunity to come down here from Charlotte, I'm from Connecticut. I could not pass up the opportunity to work for an organization like RK Motors.
How did you find RK Motors?
On the internet. I basically not to toot my own horn, but our web traffic to our site is what really drives what we do, and we sell cars worldwide. We get about 300,000 plus visitors a month to our website, so really? People usually find us online. That's how they hear about us.
And that website?
It's Charlotte. It's rkmotorscharlotte.com. And it's just basically just phenomenal images. There's video. There's a lot of content. It talks about certain categories of vehicles that we do sell, and there's just a lot of good things too. Now we also own a lot of our vehicles as well. About 70% of our inventory we actually own, and about 30% right now is consignment. So we do both in the model. We do both our asset inventory as well as consignment vehicles.
In addition to Car Clinic and Bobby Likis Car Clinic for 23 years, we own and operate Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair, which is a bumper-to-bumper 43-year automotive service shop. We perform what's called a PPI, or pre-purchase vehicle inspection. Mm-hmm. We've saved a lot of people a lot of money by inspecting cars, and we've made some dealers, we've upset some dealers as well because we're so picky with our inspection.
Sure.
But the bottom line, when you got a car of this caliber and you look for things wrong, you really have to know that automobile, because there are things that you don't know from visual or from driving until you live with that car, say, a week. And that's just not practical. How do you keep from getting burned, and how do you keep from burning your customers? Is that a valid question?
It's a valid question. Yeah, I mean, either side of that coin is open for vulnerability, if you will.
Sure.
But we do a lot of painstaking research to determine what cars that we're going to go after, whether we buy them at auction or whether we take them into consignment. And we're very driven to make sure that we do bring in the best. At times, though, we do have issues when we bring a car and we thought it was maybe a number one car, and it winds up being a two car because it's got a couple of issues. But we address those, take care of them, and so forth. As far as our customers outbound, we offer something called, which is seal of approval, and we go through all our cars anyway. We have technicians on hand. We've got a full service bay. We look at the car and we try to get into it as best as possible, not only cosmetically but mechanically, underneath, suspension, transmission, engine, electrical, and so forth. And the seal of approval program really kind of helps our buyers, and it kind of gives them that feeling of entrustment that we're going to provide them with the highest quality vehicle that we can, because we do a multi-point inspection, as you had mentioned, to make sure that when that vehicle leaves, whether it's 40 or 50 years old, is in as good a shape as it can be. But as we all know, old cars do develop problems.
Oh, sure.
They're kind of like us, They're kind of like people. We develop problems over the years, so do the cars, but we try to make sure that we put the best product out that's absolutely possible.
And when you sell these cars, do you offer protection plans that go with the automobile? Can you get parts and help your past customers, your buyers?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's always, like you said, age really affects transportation vehicles and classic cars, and I have several, more so than miles.
Absolutely.
And some of those cars are so incredibly expensive or incredibly valuable, even at a lower figure, that the owners don't drive them. And a car that's not driven is prone to break down as a car that's driven every day.
Absolutely.
So that's an important part, and I think the background that you have and what you bring to RK Motors is obvious, in as much as you understand the nature of the beast, and then you have a couple of guys, the owners, that had the idea, and you made it happen, or you definitely have helped to grow it. I see that.
Yeah, I like to think that we've definitely broadened the space too, not only with the hobbyist but also to the collector and the investor. And I think us being in the space that we are in, we've really been able to do a lot of kind of goodwill ambassadorship too to what we bring to the table. A lot of people have bought and sold cars in the past, and a lot of people have gotten burned, and there's a lot of issues with that. Sometimes they always say you never know what you're going to get, but we try to make sure that you know what you're getting and it's the best quality that we can put forward. But yeah, it's been a very good experience. I've been there for about a year, and I've learned a lot, even more about cars, because now I have to be around 200 plus cars a day in inventory, and
200 cars.
200 plus cars a day that we have for sale at any given time. And we're always constantly bringing cars in, and there's just, you have to keep learning and learning. You just never stop learning about them.
One final question, if there ever is, what do you drive?
Yeah. Well, right now I don't drive a Classic, unfortunately, but I do have a Chevy Avalanche as my daily transportation. But it's funny, is my wife used to own a 69 Camaro RSSS, and I used to own a 1970 Chevelle back in the day with rusted out floorboards and all that kind of stuff. This is before it was kind of like the cool thing to restore. We just drove them. We didn't really think about them. But, yeah, so my goal is to get back to owning a Classic once again. But
Jeff Spiegel from RK Motors, and your website is rkmotorscharlotte.com?
That's correct. RK Motors with an S, don't forget that. Charlotte, the city, and .com. Correct.
Okay. Jeff, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic right here from the PRN Studios at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Most interesting information. If you saw this car, it's unbelievable. The 1000 is it is a one-off, but it's a drop-dead gorgeous automobile. Interesting program today. What a great opportunity. Coming up, Scott Stewart, 5th generation Camaros of the Carolinas. And I got to tell you, I'm excited about that. We're going to take a break. Going to come back with a second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Fortune 500 companies choose Royal Purple lubricants to protect and improve the performance of their multi-million-dollar equipment. The same high-performance technology is also available for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, or ATV. Royal Purple enhances performance and provides superior protection for anything wrapped in metal. Royal Purple is the performance oil that outperforms. For independent tests and endorsements that document Royal Purple benefits, go to royalpurple.com. That's royalpurple.com.
I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Per a study by Ricardo Engines, the vast majority of the vehicles sold through 2025 in the U.S. will use internal combustion engines, which will require technology assists like turbo boosters and high-octane fuels like ethanol to meet the 54.5 mpg CAFE mandate. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
We secretly sprayed Febreze all over fabrics in this Milwaukee home to see if the family notices how fresh it leaves their whole house. Ooh, here they come. Let's hide.
The door's unlocked.
Smells great in here. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. Are the windows open?
Febreze eliminates stale odors and stuffiness so your whole house feels fresh air clean.
This is nice.
Shh. Someone's behind the curtains.
Febreze, the more you use it, the more you love it.
Hey, Todd. Where's our sub? Oh, Samantha. I've already given my sub to Sally. What? Sally? Hey, Samantha. How could you? I got a phone call. Todd. Men. This is Todd.
Get your own steak and bacon melt with mountains of juicy steak and melty cheese. Subway Steak Melts. Subway, eat fresh.